Good afternoon, everyone. Please can you go indicate the network box if you can hear me well, okay? Good afternoon, everyone. Please can you hear me? Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's financial advisory session. And it promises to be another very insightful one. But I'd like to crave everyone's indulgence for a few more minutes to allow more people join the session before we start the session proper. We'll be starting the session at exactly 12:10. This is to allow more people join the session, as I understand that there's been some network issues. So please do bear with us. We'll be starting at exactly 12:10. Thank you.
I can't hear anything from there, and I can't see anything. I don't know if it's from my end. If you can hear me, please let me know. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kolawole
Good
Bamiduro.
afternoon. I can hear you now.
Uh,
If you can, I
Yes,
can.
so I stated earlier that we'll be starting off proper by 12:10. This is to allow more people join the session.
Okay, okay then. Okay, okay.
Right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Please, can you confirm if you can hear me in the chat box? Can you hear me, please? Good afternoon. Can we please confirm you can hear me? Good afternoon, Mr. Aziz. Thank you for your feedback, Mr. Wasiu. So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Today promises to be another insightful session by one of our partners. And today's session, we'll be speaking about effective budgeting and saving strategies for MSMEs that maximizing profitability and ensuring financial stability. So today's session promises to be an educative one. So please do get your writing materials ready and be ready to learn from our experts that are here to take us through today's financial advice session. Just before we bring in our facilitator for today, my name is Omotaya Akiome. I'm Business Support Officer for the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. And at the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, what we do is we provide access to finance and also capacity building opportunities for business owners here in Lagos State. And some of the our loan programs are the ME, the MES, that's the micro enterprise startup, and the SME loans. These are some of the loans that we provide here at LSCTF, and our loans are single digit loans, which is 9%. You can walk into any of our local governments, any of the local governments, you walk into any of our offices because we are situated at all local governments here in Lagos State. So you can walk into any of the local governments and our officers at the LSTF offices will be there to attend to you if you would like to apply for our loan programs. We have our capacity building opportunities that we provide here at the business support, such as the advisory sessions that we're having today. We have our master classes. We have our financial advisory sessions that we're, such as the one that we're having today. We have our risk advisory. We have our marketing advisory, our legal advisory, and we also have our HR advisories. We have our access to market opportunities for those business owners in Lagos State. We provide access to market opportunities for business owners in Lagos State. We also have our MSME boot camp, which is currently ongoing. We're going to be in Ikorodu next month. So if you're in Ikorodu and its environs and you'd like to participate in the MSME boot camp, which is a program that was designed to help equip small and medium-scale businesses with the necessary skills that they need to help scale their businesses. So if you'd like to benefit from our MSME Bootcamp program, you can, register for the upcoming, and you are in Ikorodu local government, you can register for our MSM bootcamp coming up next month. We also have our business registration. You have your business and your business is not registered and you'd like for us to provide assistance in that regard, you can be on the lookout for the link to apply for the business registration and we'll provide that for you. We have our Lagos Innovate team where if you're in the tech space and you'd like to, you have budding ideas that you'd like to bring to life, you're in need of a workspace and you're in need of talent development. These are some of the things that our Lagos Innovate team are in charge of. We also have our employability unit, we where they deal with vocational training exercises for those who are within the age of 18 and 35. So if you are within that age bracket and you'd like to acquire a skill, you you can go to all our social media platforms. We are on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on X. You can go to all our social media platforms and you would find the links to apply for all of our programs. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. And I have here with me today Kome Ali, and she'll be taking us through the session that we'll be having today. So I would leave the floor for comment. So please take over and start off with the session. Comment, please, you can start. Thank you.
Thank you, Taya. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Hope we're all having a great day. Let me share my screen and then we'll just begin. I will take us through the topic that we have for today. Sorry, 1 second. Yes, we can drop, as we go along, we can drop any questions we have in the chat box, and I'll just pick it up from there. Okay. Please let me know when you can't see my screen.
So, yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you very much. So today's conversation is, sorry, I'm also just trying to open the chat box so I can follow if there's any.
I can't say anything here, please.
Can someone else confirm that they can see? Because it's showing on my end, I'm sharing the
Yes,
slide.
Kume, we can see your screen. So please, if you know you can see the screen, it's probably a network issue. Please, can you try logging out and logging in back again, please? Thank you.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
I can see it.
Okay, thank you. So today we are going to be looking at effective budgeting and saving strategies for MSMEs. That's how to maximize profitability and ensure financial stability for your small business. I believe I'm speaking with two people with experience already, so it's not like a teaching session. It's more like a remembrance session where we would learn from each other. So just get right into it. The objectives of today's session, we are going to be looking for, again, we're business owners, so I'm sure we already practice this, but I'm hoping that, we can pick 1 or 2 things to improve our budgeting skills even further than what we currently have, identify saving strategies, and then ultimately increase our business profitability and resilience. So just like an overview of what we'll be discussing through, the first step to maximizing your profitability, and budgeting effectively or even saving effectively, the first step is to understand your business finances. So what are your business numbers and what stories are they telling? Then the next thing is to understand your financial goals. You have to have financial goals. Otherwise, it'll be like you're building castles in the air. And then we go into the nitty-gritty of budgeting, managing cash flow, then just some highlighted saving strategies for MSMEs, and then we'll go through the conclusion. So I'll just quickly run through all of this and we can take questions and comments after. So like I said earlier, the first thing is to understand your business finances. And what you want to do here is to be able to track your income, your expenses, your profits. And normally we'll do this with your profit or loss statements, but then on a very high level, to even see how much your business is making on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and how that number is growing or reducing. What are the trends? What are your business trends, for a particular period. So for instance, in 2024, did your revenue grow month on month, or was it stable through the year? Like, what are the patterns of your business, and what stories do the numbers tell you, especially in terms of your revenue numbers? Then for expenses, you want to be able to look at what are your cost drivers, what's the major cost of your business, what expenses directly affect the revenue that your business is making, what expenses, again, have little or no impact on your bottom line. And then, of course, to be able to determine, you need to be able to determine if your business is turning a profit, or if you're, running the business at a loss. So it's very, very key in order to whether to budget or to do your financial planning. You need to be able to track, especially these three key items: your income, your expense, and your profits, to be sure that your business is, one, growing on a consistent level, monthly or weekly or yearly, so that you're not spending more than you're making from the business. They're actually turning in a profit. So that's like the first level. And to do that, you use basic tools. You can use Excel. There are different bookkeeping apps that you can use, such as QuickBooks, Wave, Zoho Books, and other ones. And then there's also Bumper that can help you track your income and expense on a high level. So again, what this helps you do is to understand the trends of your business, understand the numbers of your business, to even tell you when because as with every business, there's like trends and patterns. There are times where you have high turnover, probably that's seasonal, maybe during Christmas or Easter or sales period. So understanding your numbers will help you take advantage of all those trends and upticks in business to maximize your profitability. And then the next thing you want to be able to do after, looking at your numbers and having first-hand insight into what your business numbers are saying, is to be able to set financial goals. Now, in setting financial goals, you need to be able to know what you want, have in your mind's eye a picture of what your long-term plans are, because that's like the foundation for effective budgeting and financial management. So what are you working towards? What is your business working toward? What's your plan for the business? Do you want, just something to sustain your lifestyle? Do you want something that would outlive you and, that you can pass on to your children? What are your goals? Even in terms of your own personal finances, what are your goals as an individual? What are your financial goals? What do you see? What kind of lifestyle do you envisage yourself living in 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Having that understanding will help you, put together numbers that will be realistic for your business, and have an audacious budget that you can work towards in order to achieve your personal and business goals. So I just got like this tip on how to set financial goals for your business. First of all, you have to think of, like I've explained, all the things that you want. You want your business to become so big that it's in every city in the country, in Nigeria, or you want to have a mega store in a particular location. What are the things that you want for your business? And then also tie it to what you want from your life personally, in terms of the lifestyle that you want to be able to achieve. And the next thing is, you just think of how much that will cost, in terms of, okay, if I want to eventually be able to live in somewhere like Ikoyi. That's my personal goal, and there's a certain lifestyle I want to be able to live. That will cost me a lot of money. I now need to think of how to grow my business to be able to give me, to put myself on a salary that can give me the level of comfort that I want to achieve long term. And then based on that, you build your strategy to hit your financial goals, and you track, your performance against the goals that you've set for your business. Now, it's important to stay there with clear financial goals. Knowing how much to budget for your revenue and expenses easy. So when you know what you want, you can then figure out how to get to where you want to get to. and where you want your business to get to. So this is just like a guide on how to set your financial goals. I've spoken so much about setting your targets based on what you envisage for your business and for your life, and also based on the actual business performance, because you don't want to grow castles in the air. Yes, there are exceptions, there are seasons of exceptional growth, and outliers where you have like a business doing 1,000% revenue in a very short period of time, especially in this our social media age, probably due to becoming a viral business. But by you want to be able to set your targets that is achievable, audacious but achievable and grounded in reality. So for instance, if I'm doing ₦1 million per annum, and if I did ₦1 million per annum last year, and I want to set my budget for this year, it will be it will be remiss of me, to then set a budget for 100 million for this year from 1 million from last year, without knowing that nothing really has changed from my situation. So the point I'm trying to make is that you want to be able to set a target that is ambitious but achievable, so that you can stretch yourself and achieve your targets, but it's not something that is impossible to achieve when you're setting your targets. Then when you set your target, for instance, for the year, you set your budget for the year, and it's good that we're coming towards the end of June, where we'll begin to do half-year reviews to assess what we've done in the first half of the year and how our businesses have performed. This is a good time, if you don't have a budget yet, or if you've not set a target for your business yet, to sit down and just plan what the next 6 months or the rest of the 6 months of this year would look like. So when you set your targets, you want to be able to break those targets down. So for instance, this year I've said my business did 1 million naira in 2024 in terms of revenue. And this year, I think that reasonably I can achieve 2 million naira. Why? Because there's a larger market. My business is getting more popular. I'm getting more customers on a monthly basis. So I think that reasonably I can double the money that I made last year. So the 2 million naira I want to make this year, I'm now then going to break it down into how much can I make in January, how much can I make in February, how much can I make in March, how do I want to share that 2 million naira over the year. And then also, if I'm selling more than one product, across the different products that I sell, so that if I sell bags, from my bags this year, I want to make 600,000 naira. And then the clothes that I sell, I want to be able to sell another 600,000 naira worth of clothes. But shoes are the ones, that move my market fast. So then I'm going to sell 800,000 naira worth of shoes. So what I've done is to break my 2 million naira big targets for the year into my different business, the different things that I sell, and then into the different months, so that on a monthly basis, I know that I'm supposed to make 100,000 naira from selling shoes, 80,000 naira from selling bags, and 80,000 naira from selling clothes. And if for any reason I'm not able to meet these targets, it puts me on inquiry to understand, did I set my targets wrongly? Has my market changed and I'm not aware? Breaking your targets down and tracking them helps you understand and fix issues in real time as you notice them. So I've spoken about breaking your big target down. Then based on that, you drop your budget to say, okay, for this 2 million naira that I've said I'm going to make, how much will I spend to make the 2 million naira? Because I want to ensure that I'm not running at a loss. I'm not making 2 million and spending 2.5 million, or I'm not making 2 million and spending 1.8 million, because 200,000 naira profit in a year for me doesn't make sense. So you want to be able to draw up your budget and match your expected income to the expenses that you spend to make the income. And as I've said before, you track your performance to see, okay, this is how I'm behaving. I mean, this is how the business is performing on a weekly basis. I sold 300K worth of goods in January. I sold 200K worth of goods in February. Again, what this helps you do is to even see to track your performance, to see if you're doing well, if you're doing better than you expect, and you know that you can increase your budget for the rest of the year. It just helps you understand what's happening, and then, like I said earlier, to course correct, because you'll be able to notice when things are going wrong. You'll be able to catch it fast. So, after setting your financial goals, the next step is budgeting, which I've already started speaking to. What your budget is just an estimation of your revenue, or the money that you make, and expenses over a specified future period of time. People typically do budgets for a year. But then you can do a 3-month budget, you can do a 6-month budget, but the most common time frame for budgets in Nigeria, well, generally is usually a year, and people typically run their budgets from January to December, to capitalize on the whole new year, new me goodness. So a budget helps you understand how much money you have, how much you have spent, and how much you would make and need in the future. So it also helps with your financial planning for your business, in the sense that based on your budget, you're able to estimate your expenses ahead of time and plan for them adequately. So with a budget, you know that, you're going to be paying your rent, for instance, in April, and then it's not in April you're going to be looking for the money for your rent. You should have started, planning it from January, to put the money together to pay for the rent in April. So it helps with cash flow planning. Or for instance, you sell goods and then you have to restock at certain times in the year. Based on the budget that you set and the levels of your inventory that you expect to sell for each month, you'll be able to, plan your finances to have cash readily available when the time to restock your goods and services comes. So you would not necessarily need to be looking for loans to cover all of those shortfalls. That's what budgeting helps you with, and financial planning. So we've already started speaking to the importance of budgeting, why it's important. You control your spending. It helps you prepare for uncertainties, because before it becomes an uncertainty, it's something that would most likely have been planned for, or incorporated into your planning season while you're working on your budget. It also guides decision making and supports sustainable long-term growth. So with your budget, again, when you already have a budget, you would not easily be carried away by unexpected expenses, or even if they do arise, you'll be better prepared to handle them, because you would have a bit of runway in terms of your cash planning position. You have a bit of runway in terms of your inventory, stock levels, and all of that. That's one of the critical importances of budgeting. Then again, I cannot overemphasize this. It helps you catch things quickly as they happen in your business, especially as you track your budgets against what your business is actually doing. So for instance, if in January I had set in my budget that I was going to have a revenue of 300,000 naira, but in January I only did 50,000 naira, immediately I know that there's a problem. That either I did not do my budget properly, or something has happened in the market to reduce the money that I should have made. And I start thinking of ways to cover up immediately, and how it will affect my forecast for the rest of the year. So that's why budgeting is very, very important for business owners. So what are the different components of an effective budget? What are the different things that you look to, or you look at when you're drawing up your budget? And I've spoken extensively on this. Revenue projections. You need to, that's a critical aspect of budgeting. What your business will make, how much you will make, when you're going to make how much that you said you'll make. That is very, very, that's like the top line of preparing your budget. And then the next thing you want to look at is your fixed versus your variable expenses. Examples of fixed costs are things like rent. If you're running your business from a rented shop or a place like that, or a leased, or you have lease or hire purchases that you pay for, those are fixed expenses. Whether you sell or not, you have to make those expenses. Variable expenses are expenses that change based on business levels. So for instance, your cost of goods sold, if you sell items, will change depending on how much stock you buy at each point, or maybe things like delivery fees would also change based on how many deliveries you make. So you need to be able to understand, the mix of your fixed and variable expenses, especially in relation to your revenue projection. So how these expenses affect your revenue projections. Then operating costs are other costs that you use to run your business. So you buy cost of energy, lights, diesel, and things like that, water, staff salaries, payroll, things like that. You also need to be able to estimate how much on a monthly basis those things will cost the business. Again, tying it back to the revenue projection to be sure that the business would actually make a profit at the end of the period that you're looking at. Another thing you want to consider when you're doing your budgets is debt obligation. And if your business is indebted, you need to be able to plan for your debt payments alongside with your revenue and expense projections. And what this helps you with is to ensure that you don't run into cash flow issues because you're paying a debt back from the business. So is another factor to consider when you're working on your budget. In terms of cash flow too, it's important to look at emergency fund contributions. So it is generally recommended that you have like a little bit of runway, maybe 2-3 months, stored in the bank or invested somewhere, such that if there's any sort of emergency, your business will be able to run. You'll not have an urgent need of cash short term while you fix whatever issue there is. So that's why your emergency fund contribution is important. So of your budgeted revenue for the period, how much on a monthly basis do you want to set aside to cover for things like rent, or if you want to buy an asset, a capital intensive asset that's going to cost the business money, you want to be able to plan that into your projections so that the business can afford it as much as possible without necessarily reaching for a loan to pay for it. And then your profit margin target. This is important because you want to be able to decide of your what's the ratio of your expense to your revenue, and how much profit do you want the business to turn. You also want to be careful such that you're not overpricing your products and then pricing yourself out of the market, but you're making a reasonable level of profits that will be able to cover your operating costs and other obligations of the business, including things like taxes. Then budgeting mistakes to avoid, one of which is overestimating income. And I think I had mentioned this earlier. You don't want to be on a 1 million naira. You don't want to be on a 1 million naira revenue plan, and then you're moving from 1 million to 100 million naira without anything extra changing or happening. No projected growth that is no extra projected growth, that no indicator of any extra projected growth, and then you just
Apologies, Kome, but please, we can't hear you. Okay, apologies for that. I think it's a network issue. She'll be joining us back shortly. But while we wait for Kome, I think we can please, can you hear me, Mr. Kolawole? and Adebukola. Please, can you confirm that you can hear me? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you for the confirmation. So like I said, I think it's a network issue with our facilitator, and she'll be joining us back shortly. But while we wait for our facilitator to rejoin the session, we can start by networking in the chat box. Let us know what your name is, the business you do, and where you're joining this session from. Please, can we engage in the chat box? Let's know what your name is and the business that you do. So
Hello,
you get
everyone.
a financial advisory.
Okay.
Sorry, Madam Adedoyin, did you have a question?
Hello, can you please can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, let me just share my screen again. Um, okay, sure. Yes. Um, so I was talking about underestimating expenses and how it could be a bit troublesome for the business when the expenses actually start to incur and you start running into cash flow problems, trying to trying to match the expense with the revenue that's coming in. Another budgeting mistake to avoid is not planning for taxes. Tax planning is actually important because it helps you, again, put the cash aside if you are eventually going to end up paying taxes to the government. So it helps with just financial planning, ensuring that you have money to pay your obligation to the government when due. I've spoken a lot about the importance of tracking, the actual performance of the business against what has been budgeted. And then finally, mixing your personal and business accounts and monies together is a mistake to avoid because it just muddles up your books and makes it more the state of your business. So those are just some common budgeting mistakes to avoid. The next thing we're going to be looking at briefly is just managing your cash flow. We're all business owners and we can agree that cash is king, is the lifeblood of the business. And without cash, even if you're making a paper profit, your business literally grinds to a halt. One of the primary reasons businesses fail is because they don't have money to meet their financial obligations as at when due. And then business owners then start turning to things like loans, and falling into dubious loan schemes because of lack of proper cash flow. So it is very important, and that's something that having your budget also helps you with managing your cash flow. And now some tips for maintaining a positive cash flow for your business. You have to track all your invoices and follow up on customers with outstanding payments. This is when it comes to business. Yes, we have friends and family, but you do the friends and family this thing wisely in business so that you're not running into problems where you actually have money but it's outside tied up with different people. Debt is very good. It can be a very good and useful tool to grow your business if it is used wisely. I always recommend that especially for businesses, you want to take on loans that will improve your efficiency or your effectiveness. Basically, a loan that will help you make money or, increase your capacity to make money. So if you're buying an asset that would make money that can pay back for the loan that you took to purchase the asset, things that will help you bring more money into the business or reduce the time that you're using to bring in the money. Those are things that you should use debt for, but not for aesthetic things, or vanity causing things. If, for instance, buying a car would not necessarily increase your revenue or reduce the time that you're using to produce, that's improving your efficiency, then maybe it is not something that the business should buy. Or if painting your storehouse or your warehouse rather, if painting it it's not something that will bring in more customers or bring in more money or have any effect on the time that it's taking you to produce, maybe you can hold on to the painting till the business can pay for it without needing a debt. So basically, debt is a good tool, but it has to be utilized wisely. Then another thing is to monitor your expenses and be able to make cuts where necessary. So this one is, it's very simple. And again, it goes back to the tracking that I've been speaking about since we started. You want to be able to see how much you're spending on lights, how much you're spending on diesel, how much you're spending on staff salaries, and then how much you're spending on even things like internet, and be able to say, no, I can't be paying 200K for lights every month. What do I do to reduce that cost? So that's one of the importance of monitoring your numbers, the numbers of your business, so you can make adjustments as necessary. Another thing is not to, especially for us in this part of the world, not to spend your working capital on risky ventures or get rich quick schemes. I said don't risk what you have and need for what you don't have in ventures like MMM and what's this one that crashed recently? I can't remember the name, but basically Ponzi schemes, get rich quick schemes, things that they'll tell you they will double your money in 2 days or in 3 days. Don't use your business money for things like that. Or don't spend your working capital for things like that, because if it fails, then you're stranded and your business is stranded. Then other tips, you want to be able to accurately determine your stock level per time. So you're not having excess inventory that's not moving, that's not selling, and you just have money tied up in inventory. You want to avoid that. Also to track your payment cycles. If you are someone who does business, especially with bigger organizations, they'll typically have like a payment period So you want to be able to track, is it 30 days, is it 60 days? And how does that number affect, your own cash flow, the cash flow of your business? You want to be able to track that. And then finally, you need, as a business owner, it is good and advisable that you maintain a cash reserve of at least 1 to 3 months expenses. So if there's any, like I said earlier, any sort of emergency, you're able to cover in the short term while you figure out a more lasting and permanent solution to whatever problem has arisen. I'll say it again, don't mix your personal money with your business money. If possible, put yourself on a salary so that you know that the business money is coming for the business, and you're able to even monitor it and put it back into the business so that the business will grow. And you will not be the stumbling block, spending your capital, spending your expense to fund your lifestyle. So I just added this is for MSMEs. You want to be able to, especially this especially is with regard to having your cash reserve for your business. You want to be able to have some sort of automated savings, if it's daily, weekly, or even monthly. So maybe if there's a certain amount left over in the account at the end of the month, you want to move it to an investment account where is earning an interest, and is just accumulating there. So if you have any emergency, instead of running directly to a loan, you can just, sort it out from there. Another way is to use shared savings accounts. You can also negotiate with your vendors to get better rates for your business, or there again, Agile cooperative savings schemes. You have other investment opportunities like mutual funds and deposits with banks, just things that you're able to do to keep money aside for the business, again, so that any emergency that comes, you're adequately able to cater for it in the short term before looking for more long-term solutions. In conclusion, budgets are extremely crucial to ensuring business success alongside proper cash management. And then setting smart financial goals is the very first step to setting up a budget that works for your business. And also you need to be able to track and monitor. It's not just to set the budget or even automate the processes, but to do the work to track your actual performance against what you have budgeted, so that you're able to identify issues on time and rise. Thank you very much. If we have questions, I'm just going to stop sharing now so that I can look at the chat box, or you can unmute your mics if you have questions, and then we can talk about them, or comments or feedback. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kobe. I'm very sure a lot of us have learned a lot from this session. So please, if you have questions, you can please either drop them in the chat box or use the raise hand icon, and then we'll ask you to mute. So while we wait for questions in the chat box, a poll has been launched. Please kindly help us fill this poll, as this goes a long way in helping us serve you better. So please fill the poll that has popped up on your screen. Thank you. So please, do we have questions? Kome is here to answer all your questions, and also Kome is here to answer all your questions. I'm guessing the polling progress is a network issue, and it should be up on your screen soon. But please, can you confirm you can see the poll that's been launched on your screen, please? Thank you, Mr. Soji, for your response. Thank you. So please do fill the poll. Thank you. Can see that we've started filling the poll. Thank you so much. So please, do we have questions for Kume? It could be a question, it could be a feedback, it could be an observation for Kume. Because I'd like to believe that we are all business owners here on this session today, and we have a question or two to ask financial expert that is here to help put us in line when it comes to budgeting, when it comes to our financial books. Thank you for the feedback. Please, we are still waiting for more people to please fill the poll. Thank you. And you'd also be getting. So, Kome, there's a question here asking if you are available to offer accounting services for SME.
Yes, I am. We can have a conversation after the session.
Okay, so Kome, please, can you please drop your email for them to be able to reach out for those that might have something that they might need to reach out to you for?
Okay, so I've put my email in the chat box, and then you can just send me an email and I will respond.
Okay, so we have Kome has dropped our email in the chat box. Kome@getbumper.com. So if you have questions for Kome, please kindly use the raise hand icon. Kome is still here to answer your questions. If you have feedback concerning the session, please do ask while we await more people to please fill the poll. So Wasu, for the bootcamp, I will be dropping the link in the chat box now. So Adebukola, you're asking what Lagos Innovates entails. So for our Lagos Innovate team is for those that are in the tech space. So if you are in the tech space, you have budding tech ideas that you like to bring to life. This is where the idea hub comes in. You are into tech, you need a workspace, to work. Our workspace voucher comes in, so you can apply for the workspace voucher. So you can go to the LSTF website. I will be dropping the LSTF website in the chat box. So you can go on there and click on our Lagos Innovates link so that you'll be directed to their website and then you can apply for the Lagos Innovate programs. So Mr. Yakini, I can see your hand up, so you can please unmute to ask your question. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thanks, Kome, for that amazing and insightful presentation. So please confirm if you can hear me. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, yeah. So my question is, what's your advice on financing supplies? So say maybe you have supplies that keeps coming in like 5 million, 2 million, and the likes, and the payment times usually stays like 30 days, 40 days, 90 days, and the likes. For SME, what are the best way how we can handle such supply?
Okay, so it depends on your business level, your cash level, and all. So first of all, do you have enough cash, to cover while you're waiting to cover the IPO, while you're waiting for the payment to come in? That's usually like the baseline. If you can't, do you have access to maybe overdraft facilities, cheap, affordable overdraft facilities? But if you don't, then first of all, it would be recommended that you gradually start building your capital base, or your cash level rather, to the level where you're able to cover at least one or two of those IPOs, while you're waiting for the payments to come in. And then you as the supplier, you have to have your acceptable time limits. So for instance, you can give maybe a range of 30 days or 60 days beyond which they have to pay you, or 90 days, depending on, again, your business level and your cash base. Again, those kind of businesses are usually very cash heavy. So you need to have money to still run the business while you're waiting for your payments after the supply to come in. So I've said three things now. One, do you have enough cash to cover at least one or two of those sort of IPOs before the payments come in? If you don't, you need to, start building that cash base, like literally having that cash base to be able to cover it in the interim or short term. You can have access to IPO loans and overdraft functions with banks and financial houses, but you need to be able to negotiate very good rates while you're building your own cash base so that you're not losing out. And then the third thing to consider is, for your business, what's your payment period? What payment period will be acceptable to you that would not affect other aspects of the business, or make cash to run the business a problem? I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you so much. That helps. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so I can see here someone said seasonal cash flow. That's why budgeting is very important, because for seasonal cash flow, you need to be able to match that cash flow you need to be able to match it, and then also cover the cash flow to cover periods that cash, will not really come in. So for instance, if you have a school, that's a good example of seasonal cash flow. Most parents will pay their school fees in the first month, but then you have like 3-4 months to cover. So that's what your budget is very, very necessary for. It will help you. So for January, February, March, and then school vacates in April, for those 4 months, I'm going to pay salaries, I'm going to run, the school, and maybe pay for lights, pay for water, just run the school basically for the 3-4 months that the school will be in session. But most of the payments that I'm receiving as school fees will come in January. So when you receive your school fees in January, know that you're not spending it. You're putting aside, based on your budget, at the very minimum, the money you need for February, January, February, March, April. You're separating it from, and then breaking the January in bulk inflow to cover all those months. And you can have it in an investment account or just something that gives you a little interest rate. So the money is not just idle in the bank. So that when February comes, you're able to draw down from those funds to pay your salaries and to run your school. And when March comes, you're also able to draw down from those funds to pay your salaries and run your school. Again, which is why it's also important to separate your personal money from your business money so that you won't end up spending the school fees you received in January to do other things and then start running into challenges later on when you need the money to run your business. So that's how you deal with seasonal cash flow. You need to understand your business and how much you will need per time for the entire, maybe up to 6, 7, 8 months, 12 months, so that you can then break your seasonal cash flow to cover the periods that you will not really have access to cash. I hope that helps. Adebukunola Barua. Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions?
There's a question. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Saji.
Yeah, there's a question in the chat box. I said you require, not you particularly, I'm talking to the other lady. They require collateral for their loan.
Okay, Taya.
So, Mr. Soji, no, we do not require collateral for our loans. So all you just need to do is ensure that you're a resident of Lagos State and you have your last row as evidence. Then you have your 6 months bank statements, your BVN, your ATM, and your passport photograph, and any valid government ID.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. So Kome, I think I have one other question here. That's, pardon, Mr. Wasiu, I didn't get that. Okay,
I said the
Mr. Wasiu.
loan portal open now.
Yes, the loan portal is open, sir. You can apply. So I can see in an unpredictable economy with rising prices, how does one budget to accommodate such trend?
Okay, so it's what bigger organizations do typically in their budgeting circles is to have to include an inflation rate based on existing inflation percentages. So for instance, a company spent 1 million naira in 2024. When they're planning for 2025, aside from the things that, the additional expenses they want to incur, when they're done with everything, they then add an inflation rate of, so I think inflation now is about 20 something percent. So for sake of this example, let's say 25%, and then use that to work out the budget for the year. So in terms of expenses, especially in this our inflationary economy, what I recommend, you can do like a percentage increase, or you do an average increase based on just general market prices. So if anybody that lives in Nigeria now knows that every time you go out to get stuff, there's always an increase. Sometimes it can be up to double what you bought the last time. So one of the ways to deal with that is when you're budgeting, add like a percentage buffer so that if things start going up, you still have a little bit of leeway. Secondly, this is the importance of having emergency funds set aside for the business, or just that cash buffer, so that even when the inflation comes, you still have a little bit of runway in terms of cash to cover it while you figure out how to increase your revenue so that you're not, your revenue is also reflecting the economic situation. Sorry, I hope I answered. I hope that was clear. Can you hear me? Hello?
I'm okay
Yeah.
with your
Yes,
response.
we can hear
Okay.
you, Kume.
Okay.
So I think that's all the question. Okay, for the person saying that they came in quite late, so you can get a recording of this session on our YouTube channel. So you can go to YouTube and search for LSETF, and you'll find the session there. So please thank you so much everyone for those that have responded to this poll. I'll be launching another poll currently. So please, if you have your questions, you can unmute to ask your question so that Pome can answer. Thank you. So thank you everyone for staying this far for today's session. We really appreciate you taking out time from your busy schedules to participate in our session today. I would also like to, can we please show our appreciation to our facilitator in the chat box? So Madam Adenike, I see your feedback. So in registering for this session, we already have your email as part of, and in participating in this call, we have your email already as part of the poll responses. So thank you so much, Kome, for taking our time off your busy schedule to take today's session. We really appreciate you. And we thank you for taking our time from your busy schedule to take part in today's session. And we hope that when next we call on you, you'd be available to take us through the importance of financial advisory, financial discipline, and how it affects our businesses. Thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate you, and we hope to see you tomorrow, as we'll be having another session tomorrow that has to do with business continuity. We'll be having our partners from Anzamanza that will be taking on tomorrow's session, and we hope that you'll be there tomorrow. I'll be dropping in the chat box right now the link to register for the session tomorrow so that you don't miss out on tomorrow's session, because tomorrow's session promises to be another very insightful one. So I have dropped the link to register for tomorrow's session in the chat box. So thank you so much, everyone. And I hope we do enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you once again, Kome. And thank you. See you next time. And enjoy the rest of your day.